Hey everybody, welcome back to the farm. We're glad to have you here and thank you for watching the videos. We hope you've checked that subscribe button and also did the notifications so you'll receive notifications when we post new videos. But we do appreciate you watching, and hopefully there will be something interesting for you. On our first video, we kind of went through some of our weekend stuff, what we do on the weekends here on the farm. Now we're going to go through a lot of our nightly routine, just so you kind of get a feeling of that as well. Like I said before, my wife and I both work regular jobs, so we get to get into this after we've worked our regular 9.5, 10-hour days at our regular jobs. And so this is kind of a stress relief in some ways, I guess you would say. Sometimes more stressful, but we really enjoy what we do. One of the first things that I do pretty much every night as soon as I get home from work is get started on the water tanks. I'll get the outside tank here filled up for these girls out here. There's also a couple of tanks inside the barn for them, and I'll get those done and start working on the IBC tank on the back of the tractor. Normally that takes about 30-45 minutes just to get that tank full, plus whatever time it takes for the rest of the tanks, depending on how warm it's been that day. And lately they have been going through quite a bit of water. So that's one of the things that we get started on as soon as we get home from work in the evenings. Well, my wife just went down and checked on the cows. If you'll remember, I was telling you about Joe. Joe was the smaller heifer that his mama was lost in the flood a few years back, and we weren't real sure if she was bred or not, and was kind of okay with her not being, as being that she's so small framed and everything. But apparently she does have a calf on the ground and doing well, so maybe we'll be able to get a chance to get down there and get some video of the new calf. Don't want to crowd them too much, her being a first-time mama and first baby, so don't want to crowd them a lot, but maybe we can get a chance to get a look at them. Well, I've talked a lot about a lot of the sheep, but there's some of our goats as well. One of them in the liquid feed tank there. Just thought you might like to see them. Well, one of the things I'm going to be working on also a little bit each evening is finishing up trying to get this hay table ready to take out. One of the things that we had done, this table sets about 18, 19 inches off the ground, perfect for feeders for the mamas in waiting, which is this side of the hay feeder. But because of that space underneath, as lambs were being born in the mamas in waiting section, we wanted to make sure that the lambs weren't able to get under the table and get away from mama, or get in a spot where mama couldn't get to them. So we put some wire on the bottom part. And so next we're going to be going through each evening and trying to kind of snip some of that wire loose so that we can take this table up, lift it out, and get it out of here. Well, I'm on the tractor and we're going to break from routine just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and go down and get the cattle tanks down at the bottom so I can also go on down and check on the new calf. There they are way down in the corner, so I'm going to finish filling this tank and then walk on down from here to check on them. Well, getting a little closer, but she has sure let me know before I even got halfway down here that my presence was not appreciated. I want to see if I can get a little bit closer and get a good look at the calf. Make sure it's doing all right before I head back up. She's kind of a new mama, so I want to give her plenty of space. She's staying close. Of course, me being here is making her a bit nervous, but she is tending to it pretty good. I'm just wanting to make sure that it's not having too much trouble. No. It's a tiny one. Thank goodness. Just getting his first legs. That's awesome. That's awesome. Hopefully she's got the bag to support it. I'm not going to get close enough just yet to determine whether it's a boy or a girl. It's already talking. Pretty little calf. See if I can zoom in a little bit. Yeah. There we go, girls. Alrighty. I just wanted to see it get up. Make sure it's not having any trouble getting up. Well, those legs are hard to find, aren't they? Hey, baby. Hey, Joe. Yeah, you got a decent bag. Yep. Only thing that concerns me is she hasn't been too willing to let it nurse. So, of course, it could be just because I'm here. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and go. I saw it nurse just a little bit, not much. I think Mama's more worried now about keeping it up and moving than anything else. But I'm gonna go ahead and get our night stuff finished up, finish up watering and all that we got to do, because I'm gonna have to get up early in the morning before work, get down here and check on that calf once again. Just being a new mama and everything, I want to make sure that it's got the best start possible, but so far so good. It's moving well, getting around good. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Well, it's starting to get dark on us, and I've still got to get a bale of hay for the boys, get them fed and get them a bale of hay put out. We're going to snag a bale of hay for the girls, from the girls that we had put in the back, but they've got quite a bit of graze, so they've not ate on it much at all. So the boys have only got about 2 more weeks where they're at now, and then they'll be moving out with the girls for another section of breeding. So we're going to steal that hay bale, move it over there to finish out their last couple of weeks in confinement. So while the rams are entertained with feed, I'll move this bale over the rail so they'll have some hay for a couple more days, or a couple of weeks. Well, I hope you can see me all right, but this is how we finish most of our evenings. It's, about 20 minutes till 10, something like that, and still have a couple of things left to do, but we're going to call it quits for tonight and pick back up tomorrow. Well, our after job chores this evening start on the farm here by changing the battery on the lawnmower, because we got to get this yard mowed. So that's what we're getting into now before we start our regular routine on the farm. Well, old battery's out and the new battery's in. You know, it's one of those jobs that takes about 10 minutes, but you sure do dread having to get started on it. Well, unfortunately, the issue wound up not being the battery after all. Looks like it may actually be the starter. So, going to be something else to have to take care of, probably tomorrow evening. Also, I've got to get a couple of feeders fixed. That one's missing a couple of bolts, and then that one over there, got to get it straightened out a little bit. This is the pen that we're going to be feeding the ewes the heat suppression supplement for a few days. Well, I got out here and had a little bit of a scare at first because I couldn't figure out what this ewe was dragging around, what she had gotten into. But now I figured it out. If you can see that hanging off her side there, that's her shed. So that's most of her coat that's come off in one chunk. So at feeding time, I'll see if I can't help her out with the rest of it. Well, I did manage to get that patch of wool off that girl. I'm glad I didn't video that. That means nobody else saw that, because that was quite a little bit of a rodeo. Well, tonight I'm going to be doing a little bit different. Normally we feed the cows in the corral right over there, but with the new mom and the little baby, I think I'm going to feed them more out in the pasture so that we've got a little bit more open room for them if she decides to bring the little one up. Well, I wanted to come back up under the barn lights for this last post for this evening. This is hard with glasses on, but anyway, didn't get a chance to get any new video of the new calf that we had born last night. Just got too dark a little bit too fast, but hopefully maybe we can get some more video of her up and moving tomorrow. Yes, my wife confirmed that it is a little heifer calf. So anyway, so a couple of more things still left to do for this evening, and then I'm heading for the house. Well, we're going to get things started for this evening. We're going to get back to work on the feeders that we're going to be using for the heat suppression supplement that I had talked to you about. So we picked up some bolts for that, so we're going to get that fixed this evening. And I realized that I kept saying that this group was going to be our first group for breeding. That's not quite correct. It just kind of seems like it because of the timing. But we have one group that has already been through the breeding cycle with the rams, just kind of a natural breeding run because it was a cooler season, cooler time at that time. So there's about 45, 50 ewes in that group. And so actually that will be our first lambing group that will start off sometime in September. That right there is some of the ewes that are already going to be in the first breeding group. They're out there with some of the goats as well. But there's about 45, 50 ewes out there that were in that first cycle. So like I said, they'll start lambing around mid-September, somewhere through there. And then this that we're fixing to use the heat suppression supplement with is actually going to be our second group. I like dealing with sheep. My youth was spent on a beef cattle ranch, and I guess to me the sheep are very much like miniature cows. If they've got good graze and good mineral source, they're going to do well, and that's kind of what I like about them. We don't have a whole lot of acreage here, so we can run more head on the acreage that we have. And also, one of the benefits of having sheep is you don't have to have a lot of very expensive equipment. Now, don't get me wrong, the equipment makes it easy, uh, especially depending on how much time you have to deal with the animals. My wife and I both work our jobs, winds up about 6 days a week. So we don't have a whole lot of time. So we have spent a little bit of the money that we've made by selling lambs at market to buy some equipment to make it a little bit easier to deal with the animals. What we feed our sheep here on the farm is a basis. It starts off with kind of a commodity mix feed that's cottonseed hull, corn gluten pellet, soy hull pellet. Bran is also kind of part of that, cottonseed meal, all mixed together. We add some corn. We also add a little bit of a supplement pellet as well to get the protein level kind of where we want it. Depending on their stage, depends on how much of the pellet we add, how much that we use, whether they need a higher protein, a lower protein in kind of like a dry off stage after they've lambed and the lambs have been weaned. Then we'll move them into that dry off stage, and then they'll eventually go out on pasture where they're very actually rarely fed while they're on pasture time. That's what our finished feed mix kind of looks like. You can see the meal, the corn, the pellets all kind of blended together. So that's what they're fed every evening. That's what the rams are getting fed right now. It's kind of a mixture of that protein pellet and corn. Their daily requirements are not quite the same as the ewes are, the breeding ewes. So that's kind of what their feed looks like. Like I said, just the protein pellet supplement and corn. Well, tonight's the night. Tonight is the night that we get started with our heat suppression supplement. So this is going to be the beginning of preparing for the next breeding group. Well, it took just a few minutes, but we've got our first temporary feeders for our heat suppression supplement set up, getting ready to start feeding for the first time tonight. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making 5 buckets for the group that we've got here, and each bucket is going to have 2 pounds of this suppression supplement in it. So what I've done is I've zeroed out the scale here, and we're going to measure out 2 pounds of the supplement. That should be 2 pounds right there. So what we'll be doing is we'll also be taking that 2 pounds of the supplement feed, mixing it into the regular feed ration, and then that's what we'll be using to feed these girls for our next breeding group.
Mama's feeding you. Mama's feeding you. Come on. Let's go.
Go, buddy. Go, go, go eat. Sometimes you have to kind of show them. Come on, over here. Well, it is Friday evening on the farm, and we've got a little surprise. I told you a little bit about it a little bit earlier on, but it's actually here and it's actually real. So we're gonna step outside and see what we've got in our driveway. Well, there it is. Yep, we got rented a skid steer with a grapple to help do our clean out. See if we can make it a little bit faster, a little bit easier, because it is kind of tight spaces in some locations for the tractor. We were able to use the tractor last time, but it was just awfully tight in there in some spaces. So hopefully this will make it a little bit easier. My wife decided she wanted to play on it too. Well, it may not look like much to you, but last time we did this clean out, it took several hours just to get that far, and on the skid steer, we've been at it just right at about an hour, maybe a little bit over an hour, and have actually got quite a bit done, pardon the chickens there. So anyway, we'll continue the clean out process. Well, we got an hour and a half, 2 hours in of getting the barn cleaned up and clean out started for lambing season to start getting ready to take place, because we've got to get everything in the barn cleaned out, the floors all cleaned out, the hay pack cleaned out, and then get everything reset, cleaned up and reset before the next lambing group starts. So we made some good headway in just a couple hours after work this evening. Tomorrow will be a Saturday, off work a little bit earlier, so I'll be able to get a little bit more done.